you can do. So one of our younger members of the club, please give a round of applause for Katie Campbell, KE8LQR.
All right, so this presentation is basically like an overview of the stuff that I've been doing for the past about a year. And then at the end, I'm also going to talk about opportunities coming up for young hams. So yeah. Okay, so I'll start with Hamcation last year. This was a lot of fun. I attended kind of as a YOTA rep. YOTA, for anybody who doesn't know, is Youth on the Air. We got, as the YOTA group, we got a Bengali key donated to us, so it's engraved with like the YOTA logo and everything. That made its first trip to camp this year. So that's what the picture of Bruna and I is. And then the one in the middle is me with two young-ish, they're like mid-20s, so young-ish hams. They were both from Germany, kind of on a spring break thing after exams. But both of them are working for like the German equivalent of NASA right now, so it was pretty cool getting to meet them. And then the other picture is my sister and I with Carol Perry. We were both youth presenters at her forum on Saturday. A little bit after that, we had HamSci. HamSci, for anybody who's not familiar, is basically like a program that incorporates ham radio into research. So the one picture with the whole bunch of people is all of the collegiate attendees there. A couple of them I knew from YOTA, so that was really cool getting to catch up with them and everything. But I met a lot of new people, which was fun. And then I was also there to promote YOTA again. So there's all of the YOTA reps and PR and everything. After that, kind of a little bit bigger than both of those, we had Contest University. I presented at Contest University with Grace. She's the one not next to me in the bigger picture, but the blonde one. So we presented together on youth and contesting and kind of like our experiences with that and how more experienced hams can help youth who might be interested in contesting. And then the other picture is just my sister and the two of us with Ray Novak that morning. That was a really good experience. If you haven't gone to Contest University before, you should definitely consider it. You learn a whole lot in just a day. And it's really fun. I think my one sister came last year, the other one might come this year. I don't think they were expecting to have a great time, but they did have a very good time. So the one picture with the whole bunch of people is all of the youth, well, most of the youth that were there. And this is a pretty good number, considering the usual demographic of things, so that was a really good experience. Kind of in conjunction with that was Dayton. So after Contest University on Thursday, you have Dayton Friday through Sunday. The one picture is my sister and I, and one of the little girls that I now teach Morse code to in the LICW classes. But that was my first time getting to meet her, and at that point, she didn't really know any Morse code. She knew like a little bit, maybe her call sign, CQ and everything. Now she can go 30 words a minute. She learned that last week in class. I was like, so how fast can you go, Maggie? And she was like, probably like 15. And I put it at 20, and she copied it. I was like, okay. So then I put it at 30, and she copied that too. And I was like, yeah, actually, you can go 30, Maggie. She was like, oh, that's nice. So yeah, that was my first time meeting her, but it was a lot of fun, kind of getting her interested in CW and everything. And then the other picture is me with one of the students who was in the collegiate amateur radio program. He's working, I think, with Space Force now, but he was a CWRU grad last year, so I was a little bit involved with their club for last year as well. After Dayton, by about a month, we had Field Day 2024. We, being my sisters and mom and I, we went to K3LR for that one. That was my first time doing a field day from K3LR. Much different experience than a tent or a trailer. Air conditioning, really like the air conditioning. But I got both of my sisters on the air, which was really good. Sometimes they can be a little bit obstinate, particularly the younger one. So it was good that she had some fun and maybe got interested. Right after field day, I left to go to Germany for Friedrichshafen, or the Hamfest there. That was a really, really fun experience. The first half of that week, though, I left like that Sunday, got there that Monday, but Friedrichshafen isn't until Friday through Sunday. So I spent the first half of the week at the DX Hotel. Karsten, DM9EE, was very, very generous and hosted my dad and I for a couple days. And he had a little plan of like things that we could do, sightseeing and everything. So we ended up going to the cathedral in Cologne with Sandy and some other people. And then we met lots of hams along the way, so that was pretty fun. And then I also got some operating in, so got to use the stroke DLs while I was there too. At the actual Hamfest, it was a much different experience than Dayton. I had a great time. There's definitely a lot more of a youth population not all of the European Hamfests, I can't speak for all of them, but definitely at Friedrichshafen. If some of you might know, like they have the youth hostel and everything, so that makes it a lot more accessible, I guess, to youth, which is good. So I stayed there, got to meet a lot of the Yoda kids that I'd like talked to on the air, emailed, etc. Got to catch up with some who had been at like Yoda camps here before, so that was pretty cool, and then meet some who would be at camp last summer, which was after Friedrichshafen. But the one picture is me with Bruna. She's with Begali Keys, the ones who donated the Yoda key. And then the picture in the middle is actually like the youth forum sort of thing. It would be the equivalent of the youth forum that we have at Dayton, but it's run by Yoda Region 1's, like their working group. So that was a really interesting experience to get to see kind of the differences and then some of the similarities as well, because there are some. And then the other picture with me with the headphones on is me copying code. I wouldn't say that there's more of a code or a CW presence there, but it definitely is more focused on high speed. So I have a little bit of work to do, I think. Directly after Friedrichshafen last summer, we had Yoda Camp in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This was a really, really interesting experience. This will have been my third Yoda camp. So I went in Cincinnati in 2022, Ottawa in 23, and then Halifax this year. This was also my first camp being on the working group. So I had joined the public relations team the year before, but this camp I kind of had a little bit more insight into what was going on and everything. So getting to be one of the people that orchestrated that was really exciting. In the picture with the red shirts, that is all of the attendees from the US. So we had about 30 campers there total, and that was the US, so we have lots of representation from other countries. The picture in the middle is me and one of the other young ladies there doing CW on a boat. One of the days we kind of toured Halifax, and there was also sort of a mini de-expedition POTA thing to an island that up until about a week before camp had never been activated before for POTA. It was the second activation, and we made way more contacts than the other guy, so we'll pretend it's the first one. But that day we kind of did like little groups and we rotated, and that's why we were on the boat. It was really nice that they kind of had the station set up there, but they had it set up for SSB, so I had to figure out the CW settings. They were a little bit shocked. And then in the other picture, there are two of the few CW ops that were at camp. And that was basically us using the CW key for the first time from Begali, which was very exciting. It was nice to not have to use a straight key this year. About a month after that, we had the Youth DX Adventure, Dave Coulter Memorial YDXA. We had it at KE8LQR again this year, so that was very, very exciting. I had a great time last year. It's actually kind of like what got me into contesting and everything, so I was excited to be invited back as a graduate assistant this year. It was also nice, like coming back, having done it once, because I could help some of the other kids who were there. Two of us were graduate assistants, and then the other two were new to the program. They caught on very quickly. But we kind of got to Elmer them and mentor them through like the experience and give them all of our contesting knowledge, which is still very small, but we're working on building that up. After that, we took a trip to Huntsville for the Hamfest right before school started. So that Huntsville also has a pretty big youth population in terms of hamfests. So it was very exciting getting to catch up with all of my Yoda friends who I hadn't seen in a whole month. My youngest sister also got her tech license at Huntsville. I wouldn't say it was completely a shock, but surprising, yes. And then my middle sister upgraded to her general as well, so that was exciting. So now all 5 of us are licensed. In December, I submitted an essay to the Intrepid DX Group's essay contest. The topic was about what amateur radio's place was in society, or is in society, I guess. And I talked about how it bridges gaps. It's definitely bridged a lot of gaps for me, primarily like cultural gaps. I have a lot of my closest friends now are not from the US, or maybe from a different part of the US. So that's a very prominent part of amateur radio. And then also generational gaps. I just wrote an article for the DXE blog on all bands, and I started it out with one of the stories that I have from having done a contest, and then I posted about it on Instagram, and I came back to school Monday morning, and one of the girls was like, I was really concerned to see you in a basement with a bunch of old men. And then I realized that you just had nerd hobbies, so I guess it's normal. But yeah, so I wrote about all of the entertaining stories that I've accumulated through my almost 6 years in amateur radio in that one. And it was a really nice opportunity to kind of get to share my experiences with people who might not be able to have them themselves. I also, in my sort of beginnings of contesting last winter, I did the North American QSO parties, both SSB and CW. Arguably CW was more fun, but I guess that depends on perspective. So those were kind of my first real contests, quote unquote, and I did not know a whole lot about contesting. Basically, all of the contesting knowledge that I had at that point was from school club roundups with the club, which was not much because I'm kind of like the Elmer for those at this point, so I'm helping all of the kids there make contacts and everything. And then the YDXA from that summer, like the summer before. But again, that's just a weekend and a pretty small contest, so these taught me a lot about like where I need to be on the band, what speeds I need to be at, probably not calling it 35. So I learned a lot from those, and they were pretty fun. In all 3 of these, I'm at my school's club station, Kilo 8 Lima Papa Sierra, and all of the equipment you can see, which is not much of it, the equipment there though has been donated by either DX Engineering, local clubs, businesses, etc., or, well, yeah, local clubs and businesses. So the antenna that you cannot see for 10, 12, 15, 17, and 20 meters is an 11-element Yagi at 60 feet at our school. So very, very nice setup there. It was pretty successful for those having been my first real contests. So right now, I'm very much into contesting. This is a fairly comprehensive list of the contests that I've done in the past year. The ones on the left are the ones that I've done at K8AZ. Tom and his crew have been very, very welcoming. Every time I go, whether it's for like a day, 2 days, the whole contest, they have been very, very welcoming, like I said, taught me as much as they can in the 48-hour period. I've learned quite a bit from them, and of course the multi-op environment is really fun. You kind of get to exchange jokes and everything. I will say the IAR-UHF was directly after the Halifax camp. Like the camp ended Friday morning at 11. Flew back, did the IAR-UHF. Was a little bit exhausted. But the rest of these, I was a little less exhausted for. The ARL-DX SSB is coming up this weekend, so looking forward to going up there for that. And then the other list is the ones that I've done at K3LR. Very appreciative for all those invitations as well. I definitely learn a tremendous amount every time I'm there, so very, very glad to have those opportunities. And then here are some pictures from that. The one of me in the blue shirt is from K8AZ. It was the first contest I did there, actually. So about a year ago for the ARL-DX SSB. And then the middle one is me in front of one of his antennas, I believe the pond tower, as it's affectionately named. And then the other picture is the team from the CQ Worldwide SSB in October at K3LR. On the list, I also had mentioned that I did both of the NAQPs in January this year from K3LR, single op, so it was a really fun time. It's always neat. After I do a contest, I kind of make like a mental list and then I go home and I write it down. But of things that I want to take back and like share with the club at school. So we do the school club roundups every year, and until the past 2 or 3, we've kind of been winging it, for lack of better terms. I mean, we look at propagation and everything, but like none of us had a lot of contest experience per se. So after doing these, it helped a lot for me to be able to be like, okay, so it's 2 p.m., maybe let's not be on 80 meters. So that, getting to do these and see kind of the progression of like propagation and how it works from when the contest starts to when it ends really helped improve our scores. And not just scores, when you have a bunch of kids sitting around a radio for an after-school club, they want to be making contacts. They don't want to call CQ endlessly, so improving that was definitely beneficial as well. Over the summer, this is both in the past and present. Over the summer, I had the opportunity, thank you very much to Corey and Tim and everybody else at DXE, to visit the DXE, both like where the inside workings happen and then the showroom and everything at Summit. So that was kind of a shadowing experience as well. I'm considering going into electrical engineering, maybe technical writing, we'll see, after college. So I wanted to start getting shadowing experiences in and everything. So this was very, very beneficial for me, seeing like what a work environment would be like if I were to go into one of those fields. It was also really nice, like from the ham radio aspect of things, to see how the stuff that I'm buying is made and how it all works. Everybody there, I can say they were very, very welcoming. Basically, they taught me as much as they could in the 3 days that I was there. And then currently, I just started writing for On All Bands, which is DXE's blog. I'm writing kind of from the youth perspective, but also about things. Some of the topics that I have kind of planned out are like a parent or grandparent's guide to what to do if your kid or grandchild is interested in amateur radio. Various opportunities like for youth and amateur radio, stuff like that. My goal with it is kind of to put out articles that I would have liked to have and been able to read like right after getting my license. Because there's not really a lot of material out there. Like as soon as you get your license, you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? And there's so many people coming at you. So kind of just, I'd like to create some resources that I would have liked to have or would have liked to been able to give to mentors, Elmers, whatever. Very recently, we also had our February school club roundup. These pictures are both old because our February one just happened. We're still getting photo releases and everything. But basically, if you're not familiar, the school club roundup is a week-long quote-unquote contest. It's an operating event, sponsored by the ARL, I think. And it's to get schools and kids in school clubs on the air and active. For the first couple years, it was the only time during the year that we had like a radio set up and everything. So it was like the highlight of the year to be able to get the kids on the air and like show them what they were learning theory for. Because especially like with 5th graders who make up the vast majority of our club, electrical theory is great, especially when it's applied. It's less great if you do it endlessly for months. They don't love that. So the one picture is from like an after school, it's the smaller one. It's from like an after school, one of the evenings we were there, and then the picture on the other side is my physics class who had just learned that I do in fact have friends, they just don't know who they are or where they live. So that was kind of an entertaining experience. I got on the air, and right after I got on, like I spotted myself with like my call sign, and we all have each other in Ham Alert, so we get notifications when a spot comes up. And 3 or 4 people came back right away, and they were like, "These people know you?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, "You know these people?" It's like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, I just didn't think you had friends. It's like, yeah, you guys just don't know them. So that was kind of an entertaining experience, but I've gotten a couple of these ones interested, maybe. One of them keeps asking to do CW, so we do that to the best of our ability, aka I copy, he maybe sends with the presets, F1 keys. But some of them are looking at maybe getting their licenses, so that's pretty exciting. I've mentioned them a couple times, but I'm very involved with YOTA, or Youth on the Air, in the Americas. I'm currently their public relations manager, and I'm also on the working group, so I help plan camp, kind of. I'm really enjoying getting to be on the working group, because I think it's beneficial to have someone with the perspective of the people coming to camp. Most of the working group's a little bit older, so they're really good at making things happen, but sometimes we need to look at like what the kids are gonna want and the ratio of that to what needs to be done. So that's been really, it's been a very educational experience, but also very enjoyable. And then the public relations position is also a lot of fun, because basically I get to be a ham radio influencer, which I will take. I just kind of view it as an opportunity to like show youth what you can do with amateur radio and put stuff out about all the opportunities that are available. I'm also in the middle of prepping for Contest University. I'll be a professor there again this year, talking about youth and contesting again, and then contest dinner as well. This year, I think this is new this year, actually, but there will be 3 tables, it's like 30 seats, reserved for youth. So if you guys know any kids who might want to come to contest dinner, send them my way. But I'm looking at trying to get those filled up and just increase the youth presence at contest dinner and contest university and everything. And then these pictures are from last year, because last year was my first time doing the whole contest Dayton thing. I'd done Dayton a couple times, but I didn't really know about contest university, contest dinner. So the one picture is me with Tim and a couple of the other guys. And then the middle picture is me with KE8LQR, who I've been contesting with. And then the other picture is me with one of the Contest Hall of Fame inductees. Not as ham radio related, but still a little bit. I had an interview for an exchange program that I applied to in Atlanta last month. So I applied in late October, early November, and then I heard back like a month or 2 later that I was a semifinalist. So I flew to Atlanta, had an interview in Atlanta. While I was there, I actually met a ham. Couldn't leave that out. Kind of last minute, I was like, I'm not gonna take a suitcase, I'm just gonna take a backpack. So I took the backpack I got from being a Carroll Perry youth presenter in 2023, and it has my call sign on the back of it. And we were stuck in an elevator, and this one kid was like, "Is it a call sign?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Why?" He was like, "Oh, I'm a ham too." So we talked for the rest of the weekend, and I got him kind of connected with some of the youth organizations that I'm a part of. And then in terms of future plans, obviously we have Dayton, Contest University, everything coming up. But like I said, I applied to an exchange program. So next year I might be living in Germany, studying in Germany. I might be living here and taking like college credit plus classes, basically starting a degree. So we shall see what the future holds. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
You're currently in high school?
Yeah,
Where?
Columbiana.
Ohio.
Yes.
And you haven't decided what you're going to pursue in college?
In college, I'm thinking about electrical engineering, technical writing. After college, I'll probably go to law school, no matter what my undergrad is.
And what university possibly in the United States?
In the US, I'm thinking about Penn State, Ohio State, really not decided there either.
There's no conflict between you two, between Penn State and Ohio State?
There's a lot of conflict. I have not made a decision yet.
DX, Intrepid DX, is that the aircraft carrier?
No, that's just like a contesting de-expedition group.
Unless you're using a Mac, do you use that much with the amateur radio or not?
Mostly I steal my dad's laptop if I need something that actually works. I'm finding more and more software that works on the Mac. When I bought the Mac, I did not know that it was not going to run half of the software that I needed it to, so.
Is that an M series or is that the Intel race?
Great question.
Ron, I've got a question about Katie.
You can check out the computer afterwards.
How she integrates Mac?
Yes.
Process they're using on
Can you give us like a 30-second biography?
Can you say it again?
I didn't know you were that young. It's really cool.
I did not hear your question at all.
So can you do a little biography on yourself?
Oh, yeah.
So how'd you get started? I mean, obviously you've got family in radio, I assume.
Yes. So my mom, grandpa, sister, they're up there. Now my youngest sister is also licensed, and I got my dad licensed. He was not licensed before me. But in my 5th grade year, so 2019-ish, I'll be coming up on 6 years licensed like next week. Our school resource officer started an amateur radio and electronics club, and I joined it kind of a little bit unaware that my family was already into amateur radio, because they weren't just like super active. Got my license in March. My mom and dad were like, oh, this is interesting. I got my general in May. My mom upgraded to general with me at Dayton. I got my extra in June of that year. And I got my tech when I was 10 and general and extra when I was 11. And my mom kind of realized
I'm feeling old now all of a sudden. The gray hairs in this group, come on.
the rest of my family kind of realized very, very quickly after that this was not a phase. It is still not a phase, 6 years later. But anyway, I'm 16 right now. I'll turn 17 in about a month or two. And basically, ham radio has been like the main thing that I've focused on since I got my license 6 years ago.
It's pretty damn impressive. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Are you working on any foreign languages?
Yeah, I'm working on German, shockingly enough. And I'm also in a youth program. It's called the National Youth Security League Initiative. They only focus on languages that would pertain to security league stuff. It's a U.S. Department of State sponsored program. So I'm in their Russian program right now. It's about 3 months, a month and a half in. So that's pretty fun. Very challenging with the different alphabet and everything. And then I take French classes at school, so I speak a little bit of French, but not much. Any other questions?
Keep it up, fantastic job.
Thank you.
How do you get enough time to get sleep?
How fast can you copy CW?
On a good day, 37 or 38 words a minute. On a good day. Otherwise, like 35.
And on Sunday nights, when most kids are getting ready for school or they're recovering from Saturday night activities, what are you doing on Sunday nights?
On Sunday nights, I'm teaching Morse code classes to children, some of whom would like to learn, some of whom their parents were like, you should learn that, you should do that. They end up loving it by the end. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah.
What method do you use to teach these learners?
I use Koch and Farnsworth together, but I can elaborate on that later.
Dave knew Farnsworth personally.
We used to have lunch up before the dinosaurs.
See?
I thought FL Digi had a good program for learning CW. If you could type in your text and read it back.
So when you're talking about teaching CW on Sunday nights, how many people are in the class? Where is the class?
So the class is on Zoom. The number of people that are there varies greatly. Sometimes I can have 5 or 6 kids. Sometimes it's me and 1 kid. Because it's a youth demographic, school and other activities definitely come into play. Parents saying maybe you shouldn't be staying up that late on Zoom. So the number of people that I have varies pretty widely. Overall, I've probably taught around 30 kids in some phase at some point in my doing this. I started these classes fall of 2022. The classes from the Long Island CW Club for kids existed. They were started in 2020, like right as the pandemic was starting, kind of just, it was convenient. We had time, instructors had time. So they had a couple rounds of like 30 to 35 kids go through. And then at this point, we have a lot that are lingering because everyone's gotten busier with school and everything. But I've been teaching the intermediate and advanced classes since August of 22. And then I'll also do like beginner lessons sometimes here and there if kids need extra help.
So you won the Intrepid essay contest, and the prize was an ICOM IC7300. Is this your own radio, like in your own bedroom, and you have a sign that says nobody but me can use it? What are you doing with the radio?
So I'm getting on the air with the radio. We had originally at my house, we kind of got the family radio after I got my extra, when my parents realized that this was not going to be a phase. So we had a home station for a while, but this is now my radio that people also do not get to use that are not me. My CW settings stay the same. That's what I'm really here for. But it'll probably go to college with me because I can't take the family radio because they're all licensed now, so.
Well, Bob Hodgkiss, KGATO, your friend, and Father Mike did talk a little bit about the spat between Penn State and Ohio State. But if you were to ask the people at Ohio State what kind of a club station they have, they don't have one. It's a very nice one at Penn State.
There is.
Just saying.
Donated by Marconi.
And the ice cream is much better.
And I mean, I do. But if it came down to it, I'd probably just start a club if they didn't have one.
I was gonna say, you're.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Good answer.
Any other questions for Kate?
And we also know
Michael
that
Coulter's a great presentation.
Thank you very much to Michael.
Yep.
I don't know if he's here
Michael,
still.
Oh, there he is.
Michael, you're on.
Michael.
Ask Michael to.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. This is a great presentation, and you kind of caught me off guard. I really am at a loss for words other than I'm just so proud of what she's doing, and my vote's for the Ohio State University. I want to tell you though, I have a granddaughter just got her license a few months ago, and she's going to go to the School of Engineering. She's been accepted there, and I know that between us, we're going to see about that station at the Ohio State University. But man, all the stuff you're doing, just impressive. Great club. That's all I got to say. And carry on. See you in Dayton.
Thanks. Is she the granddaughter that I met at Dayton last year?
Yeah, she's a granddaughter. And she does a lot of volunteer at Hamvention in different areas. She helps me at the awards banquet. So she's pretty tied up on Saturdays. And she also works at the international booth, but I think she's going to work at the Dave Coulter booth this year, the YDXA booth. So pretty exciting. And she did that and surprised me with that, getting that license. So you know how that is. You must have surprised your family. But what a cool thing. So yeah, so I want to hook her up with you when you get to Dayton. So
Yeah, I'll definitely catch her, probably at the YDXA booth, if not somewhere else.
sure. Anyway, I don't want to hog it at all. And thanks for recognizing me. I just wanted to jump in and tell you just a fabulous presentation and keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for participating tonight. Yeah, Ron?
Yeah, Jeff had his hand raised earlier.
Jeff, did you have your hand up? Jeffrey, there you go.
I was just clapping. Good to see.
Okay, Dave.
Got a challenge for, do you suppose possibly You could arrange your class to teach people how to use a Smith chart.
Oh, jeez. Let her get into engineering school first. Then we'll get to that. And I want to give a round of applause for the guy that started this all, her grandfather, Tom, over there, that started the whole family. Tom, I don't know what you did, but you've done some really good things on this planet. And I want to thank you personally for that, because what a beautiful family you have. And I can't imagine what it's like to live full-time with 5 hams in the same house. That's really good. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Josh. Olivia, we can test tonight. We can test you tonight. Bye, Sarah. Okay. All right. We're going up to Isla if you're hungry. And we have the 50-50. Mike. Mike, you're up.